Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Grady Rich Show. My name is Grady Rich, and today I have a very special guest with me today, Dakota Crane. Dakota, introduce yourself. Tell the people who you are.
Yo, what's up, everyone? My name is Dakota Crane. As Grady said, I am a Gen Z dude. I come from a background of I didn't go to college, screw college, and ended up going into management for the Postal Service. Made just about six figures when I was like 20. So I figured, I was like, okay, yeah, clearly there is a much different way. Um, Through that, I try not to yap too much here, but unfortunately, my best friend committed suicide in 2023 when I was living in Arizona in management. So that opened a door for activism there. Ended up moving to Florida for a short time. I lived in Pensacola actually while I was in management for USPS. Hated my job, ended up taking a position as the youth suicide prevention coordinator for the Kansas Attorney General's office. That was very short lived because I found out very quickly, oh, the state government is just as inefficient as the federal government. And kind of through that, was kind of at rock bottom, back to going from making six figures at a young age or right about that to $17 an hour in my in law's basement. And so I started looking at making money on the internet and did a little bit of clipping, made some money there, then got versed into UGC, which is essentially where regular people make ads for companies. Got super into that, ended up being able to leave my job and go full time into that. Retired. I say retired my wife. She's just a stay at home mom now. So kind of living that, building the life that I think a lot of young men like us are kind of yearning for. And even I'd say a lot of young women too that are realizing like, oh, the system that we have is a total psyop. Everyone goes to college just to get a terrible return on a degree and then go to a job you hate for 40 years and then you die. So it's like kind of, I'm big on helping people to understand like there is a better way of doing things and it doesn't require a college degree. And although, we kind of have the cards stacked against us, that doesn't mean you just sit there and let it happen to you. Like we can still fight against this stuff. So that's kind of my little spiel about kind of who I am and what I do. But super excited to be here today.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. So you said you were a dad, and so how many are you? A father of many or a father of one?
Father of one, hopefully many soon.
Hopefully, God
Yeah,
willing. Well,
God
what
willing,
has
bro.
being a father taught you, and how has that changed your life?
It's truly the greatest thing on earth, and it's so crazy because it continuously blossoms into just like so much. Like, I growing up, I know my mom would always say like, I love you more than anything else, or like you're the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. And we can't I never really comprehended that. I'm like, okay, mom, yeah, you're right. But then when you have kids, bro, it's like nothing really matters. And it makes you, you know, you might be a hard worker, but sometimes you might have those days where it's like, oh, I'm not going to do this, or I let this task slide. Whereas when you've got the kids behind you, you're like, no, like I have to set the example. I have to do things better. I have to make sure I'm on it because, this person is depending on me. And I think it's just really great because it's, like truly, I want to have a huge family, bro. I'm like, I figured out like, because I obviously grew up Protestant, like you'd always have the stereotypes of Catholics having a bunch of kids. And I'm like, oh, I totally understand why the Catholics are kid maxing. Like, dude, and not in the weird Catholic church way, but, having kids. So, dude, it's just been beautiful. Like, it makes you want to be a better person. You start to realize the generational trauma, the things that your parents did to you that wasn't, just maybe the way they talked to you or things they said. And you're like, okay, no, I got to break this. I can't do the same stuff to my kids. So, dude, it's great.
No, I completely understand. That's awesome. Hopefully, wait, how old are you?
23.
So, see, you can have another like 13 kids. All
Dude,
right, let's move
exactly,
on.
bro.
So, and you brought up Catholicism. You're obviously an Orthodox Christian. What what do you think is sparking this fire in young men across the West to convert to very traditional forms of Christianity? It could be Catholicism, it could be Orthodoxy, it could be very traditional forms of Protestantism that are rare. What is it in our society that is pushing so many young men to convert to traditional forms of Christianity?
So, how I look at it is you look at the United States, right? And from our founding, this country was founded by, well, of course, Freemasons. But on top of that, the masses were a lot of Quakers, Puritans, things of that nature. So we've pretty much never had real Christianity in the United States. And what I have come to find out with my personal experience and then talking to like every other, young Orthodox catechumen or even some that maybe are in their 30s is we all had a very similar experience in the sense of, we grew up Protestant. For me, that was non-denominational. Maybe I went to a Baptist church for a little bit, but you go through the motions, you sit in church, you hear them sing Jesus Boyfriend music for 30 minutes, and you're like, okay, this is a little weird, but whatever. I guess this is what worship is. And then they ask for some money and give you some church announcements, and then you have a dude wearing skinny jeans and a t-shirt with some spiked up hair or something, ripping apart two verses from the Bible. And you're like, well, that didn't really do anything for me. I guess I'm going to go on with my week now. So I kind of found that it was like, okay, from the time I was a kid, I had no idea really why I was a Christian other than it's like, oh, Jesus, good, hell bad, don't want to go there. There was no real foundation within like the non-denominational church. And I became extremely frustrated. I fell out of the church when I was in high school. I was one of those people. I was very obsessed with consciousness, right? I was doing acid, right? I was taking shrooms. I was like doing psychedelics and stuff. And I came to this conclusion that later brought me back to Christianity, but that like all of this, like nothing really matters. It's like the universe, all this.
Nihilistic.
Exactly. All this weird stuff that is like, when you look at it from a different lens, it's like literally just like great value Christianity. And I ended up coming back, but then still in 2021, when I guess became a Christian again, I was still like, dude, I can't rock with these churches. It doesn't make sense. Now, I guess what I'm kind of getting at here with myself and many other people, it was like, dude, we just started questioning, like, okay, this can't be right. This doesn't make sense. And then why? I guess we never looked into the church history, right? I'm like, dude, if I would have looked into church history 5 years ago, then boom, I would have been an Orthodox 5 years ago.
Well, you didn't
Because
even know about church history when you were a Protestant. You just know about the Bible.
literally, bro, it's like, oh, do what the Bible says, which there's a lot of problems with that in itself. It's like, oh, you
Same.
can read the Bible and misinterpret what it's like. It's, how
Pluck
it
out
goes.
your own eye.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, well, and I think that's a big problem with a lot of, I guess, the Protestant space as a whole. It's like, you're not really doing what the Bible says. You're going off of your own interpretation of it and potentially thinking you are following the Bible. But obviously, you look at, I mean, the early Christians, dude, they didn't have Bibles. I mean, dude, I just came to realize, like, with the traditions of like the Orthodox Church, it's like, dude, like, if the early church fathers were doing this, then why am I going to a church that has a smoke machine and is like a Justin Bieber concert? It's like
Laser
that doesn't.
lights.
Yeah, it's like, okay, this is clearly there is a right and wrong answer here, and I think that was a lot of experiences that a lot of my friends had, and a lot of younger people I kind of know or have met through the Orthodox Church, and we just got so sick of it that we're like, this can't be it, and then you just go down the rabbit hole, and it's like once you take that pill, dude, you can't unsee it.
No, you cannot. And like I think all of Orthodox churches right now are just full of a bunch of young men because we have the strive for it. But these young men, a lot of them come from desires of like alcohol, maybe acid or psychedelics,
Mhm.
maybe a bad past with women in high school or whatever, just bad upbringings, and that, or they just saw the way society was going, and that pushes them in that direction. Do you think that the desires of young men, since they are kind of being trial by fired out of a lot of these young men, that the young women are going to have to find a different route or just have to hop on the Orthodox train because it seems like these young men are actually gaining the ability to say no to a lot of the world because of the church. When usually in the past they would say yes to alcohol, yes to drugs,
Mhm.
yes to women. It seems like now these men are finally waking up and getting some strength to say no and to dedicate their lives to the faith. Hopefully, women will follow along. What do you think about that?
That's an excellent question. And it kind of goes into what we spoke about earlier of just like, good times create weak men create hard times create strong men, right? And we're in this phase of we have the largest info war that we've ever seen going on right now because of social media. Everyone's realizing that our government is completely infiltrated by Israel. our politicians are, taking all of this money from like Israel, APAC, these groups, right? And when they don't, Thomas Massey, for example, they spend what, $30 million to take his seat. So you have the young men who are realizing this. And let's be very real. This is gonna upset a lot of the girl bosses that probably aren't. I mean, this probably ain't where they're watching
No,
anyways.
no, no,
But
no, no.
but let's be honest. Men create society and women conform to it. And that is how it has always been. You look at getting women in the workforce. Now, I don't like objectively have a problem with that. I think that everyone is free to do whatever they want, right? If you want to go, work, great. You know what I mean? No hate to that. But you look at why that happened, it was because they wanted to tax the other half of society and make, keeping the mom at home like totally unaffordable, right? And so I guess where I'm going with that,
Mhm.
as essentially you have these weak men that allowed society to just completely get, like, I don't know, wrecked, right? By these elites to then screw everyone. Whereas the young men right now are coming to Orthodoxy. They're realizing, yo, what is real Christianity? What is truly denying the flesh? What is actually being saved, right? Because we don't know what that is. We're not God, but walking that path of salvation. And I think, I mean, they have to come around eventually. Don't get me wrong, you're always going to have degenerates, but I truly believe with the amount of young men who are just doing things better than their parents, truly asking the hard questions, I truly think it will have a trickle down effect and, kind of
Yeah,
affect everyone.
I agree. And you said like you're making the mom being at home impossible, but then at the same time you tell her that she doesn't need a man and she's girl boss. Then what happens? The husband is daddy government, daddy EBT, daddy Section 8, right? You
Exactly.
tell these women that they don't need a man, and that destroys a lot of marriages. Um, and then women will eventually follow along if men say no. Because if men are in the church and say they dedicate their lives to Christ, but then they still subscribe to Sophie Rain's OnlyFans, or they're still going on like, I don't know, they're still going to Miami and being insane, or going to like major cities and going out clubbing.
Right.
Then what changed? Nothing changed. You're still feeding into their process. So again, denying the flesh, like you said, is saying no to that degenerate society. And these degenerates won't be able to live as degenerates if no one will even accept their presence in society from their actions. And that kind of leads into modern dating because now you have Tinder charging women more to stay on the app. They are realizing that so many young men are saying, "No, we don't really care for dating apps anymore because dating apps are cancer and all it is hookup culture,
Right.
which makes our society more degenerate." So modern dating has been this thing of like, oh well, yes, we can get married and have a nice wedding and all these luxuries, but then we're going to divorce in a few months. It's
Mhm.
never like the sacrament of marriage to us is so serious. That's becoming one flesh. But to these people in the modern world, it seems like it's just something fun that you do so you can take a bunch of pictures, you have a baby shower, all that stupid crap.
Right.
So the state of modern dating has left many women upset and almost digging in more, and a lot of young men just completely walking away. How do we bring that back?
Well, I think I mean, men have to step up. They have to say, no, we're not going to do this. We're not going to be sleeping around with all these women. We're not going to go clubbing every weekend, get drunk, take some girl home, do it all over again. Because that's the manly thing to do, or whatever. No, it's the soy boy thing to do. You are just falling into the propaganda and doing exactly what you want. Because I would say you look at kind of the Protestant sector. When I was more in that sector, it was so hard to deny the flesh. I recently quit smoking weed, um, like religiously, because I would smoke weed like every day, right? And I was still a high achiever, maybe do it at night or something, but it was still a vice, right? And you know, I was like, I probably shouldn't be doing this. Or I need to get this under control a little bit, or what have you. But there's no systems in the Protestant church to actually do that. Whereas with Orthodoxy and truly following Christ, you're like, I don't even want to do this, right? Like, it's like, whatever. I don't want to just go into the flesh, right? Or fall into that. So I think with modern dating, it's kind of in the same realm of just men have to step up and realize, look, like, we're being psyoped. Going out to the club, or enjoying your 20s or whatever, dude, it's a psyop to keep you broke and a slave to the people on top. And it's like you kind of said too, with kind of going back to, daddy government, right? I mean, they've destabilized so many communities by pushing welfare onto women for, hey, have X amount of kids with different fathers, right? Do all this stuff. And it's like, okay, well, now we have to say, no, we're not doing this. We're not going to go and sleep around with a bunch of women. If it's maybe we can find one good woman, date her or do, whatever until we get married. Maybe we just don't even do it until we're older and we can actually find that. But we're not just going to be killing time by getting on Tinder and having sex with random girls. Like it's not okay, right?
I completely agree. And like you said, communities collapsing, and the biggest community that had, sorry, the biggest community that has been destroyed by daddy government and also many other forms is the black community with the EBT stuff.
Ding
And
ding
we
ding,
see
dude.
that pre-civil rights they had better marriage rates than the white communities. And all of a sudden you have Martin Luther King come in, and he is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Like the Jews had heavily influence on him, and then white liberals, and then it still kept coming in the form. They assassinate Malcolm X, the only one who was actually saying, "Hey, yeah, these Jews are actually the one that are screwing you guys over." He mysteriously dies, and the black community had a very nuclear family style to it, pre-civil rights. And the nuclear family, we look at it and we say, you know what, that kind of looks like a medieval era. Everyone together, before women were in the workforce, women were always doing work in churches and work in local communities. That's why communities were so tight. Everyone knew each other because women were holding it together. And I know people might get upset with me when I say that, but it really is true. Like, they were the ones running church groups. They were the ones feeding people at the food banks, while the men were building the rest of society. We all had our perfect places. And a medieval village is pretty much what we need in modern society. A close tied community with like minded people, the same religion, who we are. That's what we need. The medieval times were just perfect because what was at the center of the community?
Dude, Christ.
It was Christ. The church was on the hill, and the bells were ringing, and you knew when to go to church. An average medieval person went to church twice a day.
Right.
And that's just so important. Their food was clean, they were growing their own stuff, they were taking care of each other. How do we come back to a medieval community or a nuclear family style way of life in our country?
Dude, that is a great question. And it is, I mean, it's really hard because if you look at it, we've never really had that. We may have had sprinkles of it. Obviously, like you had kind of said there, like with the black community, I mean, they're the biggest victims of the government, right? You look at obviously, the welfare system, Section 8, essentially trying to destroy the nuclear families. Then you look at what they did later during like the Reagan administration, pushing crack into, black communities, guns. You look at like the music industry, what was it, like NWA, like it's all engineered to keep people oppressed. And when you look at things like that and you say, okay, well, they're doing it to obviously not only the black community, but every community, right? You look at now I guess with hookup culture, that's obviously affecting everyone and all of these forms of degeneracy they're pushing. So I think it's not necessarily can we go back to what we had, because I don't think we ever had it great. I think it's like we got to burn it down and and build back something we've never had before. Like for me, I used to be very big on, okay, we got to follow the Constitution. That's the best option. And for where we are at in today's world, yes. Like if we just followed the Constitution a little bit better, then this country would be probably thriving, right? Because there are a lot of very unconstitutional things going on by our government. They're constantly passing legislation that is in direct violation of the Constitution. But I would like to take it a step further. I would say, no, we need a Christian monarchy. We need Constantine. We need something like you're saying where everyone's a Christian, right? And obviously, for me, I'm not like, oh, like kill the Muslims or kill the Jews. You know what I mean? It's not like that, like, oh, you're Christian or you're not. I mean, obviously, that's not what Christians stand for. But when you have strong men leading the way for something as pure as Christianity, then it shows people, okay, why is this person living this way? It's not, I think and I'm going on a little bit of an autism yap here, but you look at like Matthew 25, right? It talks about what it means to be a Christian, right? And that's not, going to the college campus, standing on a soapbox, telling people, "Oh, submit to Jesus or you're going to hell." You know
That's
what I mean?
terrible. Yeah, I can't
Yeah,
stand
it's
when
like
people do that
you
crap.
you, you think that's going to evangelize people? No, like we're given a lot of clear information on how to do that, and I think when it comes down to it, when young men like ourselves, or even potentially some of the older guys, God willing, if they can, turn off Fox News for a sec and get with the program, if we live a certain way, then it sets an example of, okay, well, why is Dakota living that way? Why is Grady living that way? Why are they acting like this? You know what I mean? And that is the best way to get people on track to say, okay, maybe there is a better way. And I think by doing something like that and truly living out your faith, that is how you are going to get people to realize, okay, there is a better life and I can be a part of that. Now it's a little bit hard because a lot of the West has been psyoped with heretical Christianity. So getting people to understand, look, no, like we've been psyoped. This is real Christianity, and we're truly living it out. I think that's how we're gonna kind of, I would say, build back potentially something better than we've ever had.
So that's your solution to kind of building our communities back. And also, individually, the lives of saints are so important to read when we think about how we can be the best human we can possibly be. And who are some saints that really stick out to you? Because everyone has those saints that are just like, it just resonates with them. It's like they're looking at themselves.
Right. So one, I mean, I think St. John of Chrysostom, hopefully saying that right. For me, dude, that's one that he just had so many great takes on a lot of different things, Judaism, Islam. He was very outspoken, and I really like that, especially in today's day and age, because we are starting to get out a lot more outspoken about the evils going on in this world. So obviously, he resonates very hard with me. But man, Saint Gabriel the Fool, right? Dude, for me, that is like, it makes you want to go burn down a data center. You know what I mean? You're like, heck yeah, dude. Like, Soviet, was it Soviet Russia? I can't even remember. I mean, it was
Soviet Russia.
USSR, right?
He
So,
St. Gabriel of Georgia stands up. He sneaks into a government building and he goes out on the window and takes a torch and he burns a massive flag of linen.
and was
And
that in modern day Russia or was it in one of the border countries? I can't remember.
it might have been Georgia.
Right, oh, I think it was. But yeah, for me, dude, it's like he didn't care. He said, "No, like communism is not my god. Like
Mm-hmm.
burn it down. There is one true God, and it is Christ and Christ alone, right?" And
Mm-hmm.
to me, it's like, all right, we need more of that. We need men to say no. Like right is right, wrong is wrong. Burn it down.
And that kind of destroys this like pacifist Christianity of, oh, just kind of let them do their thing and praying is good. And I don't want anyone to misinterpret me because everyone does this when I say this. Praying is good, but Saint Gabriel of Georgia was actively praying when he burned down that flag of linen. He did what was right. He did the Christ-like thing and destroyed the idol. If we want a Christian nation, it cannot be taken back with just sitting in our houses and praying all day. We have to build our communities back. We have to start at local level and start taking care of our people. No one knows their neighbor anymore. No one knows what community is. And that's like a huge thing. Like, you and I are doing this right now and talking, but we have to put everything we're saying into action by taking care of the people outside who are hungry, by taking care of the people who need clothes. These are all important things that a lot of people miss when they talk about Christianity. That's good. You pray all the time. You read your Bible. You're in church every Sunday. But do you feed that little hobo who needs money? Or do you say, oh, he might be on drugs. He might use the money for drugs. You're not taking care of that person on the street. Does your neighbor know you? What do you know about your neighbor? Do you know anything about your neighbor? No, you don't. You're failing. Like, that's what I'm saying. We can sit here and be like, oh, we can pray all day. Are you putting your faith into works? Because what does James say about faith and works?
It's definitely not sola scriptura. That's for sure.
Faith without works is dead. What are our works, Dakota? We have to put those into action. What are the things that Christian men and Christian women need to start doing in society to start taking care of our people?
Well, I think you alluded to it very hard, and this is one thing I'm very bad at is I don't really I've talked to I moved into this house. We bought our house in December. I've talked to one of my neighbors like once, the other one I'll talk to here and there, but it is one of those things where I don't make that effort, and it is something that I need to do because it starts in on your local level, right, in your neighborhood. Um, and so, like, also kind of like what you had said with like feeding the homeless, helping people out, doing some of that kind of stuff. I mean, man, there are so many things you can do. You can volunteer your time places. I mean, it's very simple if you think about it. I mean, there are so many things we can do. You can go volunteer at a food bank. You can go downtown, give people water, right? You can, like homeless people, right?
Yeah.
There are a lot of things we can do that are honestly pretty cost effective too, because obviously everyone's getting screwed big time right now with what's going on in the like Israel won't stop bombing Lebanon. Therefore, the Iran and United States deals keep falling apart because of that. And it's like obviously the whole world is hurting financially because of a lot of these geopolitical things. But like we can still obviously go out and, like you said, okay, there's a dude on the street. I might not have any cash on me, but do I have some water or can I go buy him some food? Or I would say things like that. But also, I mean, dude, it's truly living out the faith in the sense of, obviously faith without works is dead. We know that. It's not just put your faith in Christ and you're saved. It's no, how can I truly live out my faith and do these things that I'm saying in the sense of also like not watching pornography, not going out and drinking and doing cocaine at the club or doing these degenerate things, not, sleeping around. How can I also kind of set that example in a large way for young men that like, yo, there's another way, there's a cooler way. Like what you'll notice with like my Instagram. Obviously I run like a community for UGC creators that is completely free, by the way. I have like obviously my paid mentorship that I've got, people in, and my Instagram obviously is somewhat of a funnel for those kinds of things, right? But you'll also notice for me what I try to do with promoting like making money online is kind of the inverse of like the internet money bros. It's like, no, I don't want a Miami balcony. No, I don't want to go to the club and, do some cocaine with Claviker or whatever the dude's name is and
Yeah.
sleep around with XYZ woman. No, I want to use my internet money to buy land, to have a Christ centered life, to have 10 kids because our birth rates are falling and that's not good. Um, and truly raise up children that are going to do the same thing, right? To go out, help people. And part of it is, I mean, it's kind of hard too. Like, I'm not going to lie. None of this is like, it's simple, but not easy in the sense of, it's very easy to just still like, oh, I'm not going to go check on my neighbor or I'm not going to, reach out to people or try to lend a hand. Like, it's definitely, after having this conversation, I'm like, dude, I'm definitely not volunteering my time enough because there are a lot more things I could be doing. And so I think it's also having that real conversation or that internal dialect of like, could I be doing something better? Because like for me, I'm like, okay, yeah, I've been doing things a lot better than I was. Obviously going to liturgy, going to catechism, but like there's more than just that and reading your Bible and opening up the prayer book and like you can volunteer your time. So that's something I
I
need to
agree.
definitely get better
And
at.
sometimes it's not even about money. Sometimes these people are lonely on the street. They just want somebody to talk to, man. I
Right.
can't tell you how many times I've walked up to someone like, "Hey, I got this leftover pizza. You want any?" "No, I'm all right." "You want something to drink?" "No, I'm all right." "But what's your name?" I can't tell you how many times this happened. These people are lonely. They're viewed as second-class citizens by like most of society. So these people just want somebody to talk to. The other day I was walking down um, I was in the downtown area walking around the lake, and this man was sitting on the bench. And I asked him, I was like, "Hey, you got somewhere to go? It's about to rain." He's like, "Nah, you got something to drink?" And I have my water in my hand. Mind you, it's Florida. It's hot outside. I'm not saying this to be vain, but I give him my water, and he just pours it on his head. And it was kind of funny in the moment. But looking back on it, it's like that might have been the only thing that someone did for him that day. And also, what do we know? You don't know if that's a human or not. That could be an angel in the form of human. That could be Christ in the form of human. And if you sit there and say, "No, I don't have a water. No, sorry, this is my only drink," you're denying Christ. Do unto others what you would do to yourself. Like, it's so simple. And also, it's like in the book of Matthew. It's like, Um, I was hungry, you never fed me. I was sick, and you never visited me. It's so clear that what we do to others, we're also doing to Christ. So if you
Right.
deny that man food, you're denying Christ food. If you're denying that man a piece of clothing, you're denying Christ a piece of clothing. If you say, no, this is my water, you can't have it, you're denying Christ water. That should be all of our mentality, not like, because again, it's our blessing in heaven. Great is our reward in heaven when we bless someone else. That should be like, if you're not going to do it for just the sake of someone else's livelihood, at least do it for your soul. It's so simple, and we've become such a selfish society, materialistic, mine, me, that we forgot that, hey, if we had a good community, we would have people to take care of us. We could take care of other people, and things would work out.
Right.
And that's one thing that has kept me in the church is everyone is just so tight. Everyone is family. What is one thing or many things that keep you in the church?
Well, for me, and I can't remember if I told you this. Like, obviously, I'm very new to this in the sense of like literally this year is when I don't even know if I knew what Orthodox Christianity was until like maybe 6 months ago, maybe a year. But I think what I saw, the Clyde, I can't remember his, you know, what I'm talking about the real Clyde.
No,
Okay,
you may. I don't know.
you've probably seen his posts. He's like another ortho anti-Zio dude. But anyways, I start seeing him and all these other people switching over. I'm like, okay, I'm very like-minded to them. There's got to be something here. But obviously, I'm still very new into this. But for me, like, dude, the community aspect is so crazy. And I realized like how refreshing it was to be around other people who are very like-minded. You know what I mean? And it's like for me, the first time I went to liturgy, like I've got like 5 people asking me, "Hey, like what's your name? I've never seen you here before." Like just very friendly, wanting to talk and, make sure you feel comfortable. Um, I was very confused on a lot of things because obviously I was a non-denominator or whatever. I was in that non-denominational space. So I emailed, Father Paul, one of our priests, and I was like, "Hey, would you maybe have some time to meet with me? I have a lot of questions." I got an email back in like 3 minutes, and he's like, "Hey, I've got this open, and this open. Does any of this work?" And boom, I had a meeting set up for like 2 days, right, from that day. And, it's also like kind of the community aspect. Like we have a young, what is it? Young adults group. And, people are talking in there all the time. I need to get out of my shell a little bit because I'm newer to this. So I'm like, it's on me. I need to put myself out there a little bit more. But like, there's been a couple events I've been able to go to. And, you know, it's just cool to see people who are like, I don't know, all have the same foundation. They want to be better people. They want to live out their faith. And it's like the other thing too is I'd say when you go to like a Protestant church, dude, the dude next to you believes something completely different than the
Yes.
dude on stage. Like there's no real foundation. Whereas you go to the Orthodox church and no one's going to be like, oh yeah, we have to bless Israel because that's God's chosen people. They're like, no, I've read the New Testament. I understand like the fulfillment of Christ. Like I've read the Bible. I haven't just listened to Fox News and took that as religion. So I think it's really cool to not only be around people who you can relate with, but just like good people that are also there for the right reasons and want to be better. It makes you want to stay there. It makes you want to do better. And I don't know if you've noticed this. Like for me, bro, I hated going to church on Sundays when I was a Protestant.
It was just
It was
looking forward to eating after for me.
right, dude. Yeah. And for me, it was like, bro, like my wife would be like, we need to start going to church. I'm like, dude, like, I want to kill myself. Like, I don't want to do this at all. Like, sorry, Jesus. Like, I don't know why I feel this way, but I hate it. And bro, I look forward to going to liturgy. I look forward to going to catechism. And when you're there too, like what was it? I think 2 Sundays ago, I was kind of like, oh man, I'm really tired, whatever. I had like that thought of like, oh, I kind of don't want to go to church or whatever. And obviously I was just like, whatever, keep moving, go. And it's like every time I'm there, I'm so glad I'm there. Like it, it's not the same as like this. Okay, you made a video on this of like the emotionalism. Like it's not like that. Or no, you didn't. It was another guy. Sorry, another Orthodox dude made this video about like emotionalism and how like that's what kind of the Protestant sector is. And you don't really have that in the Orthodox church. But like at the same time, for me, I do have a lot of emotions in the sense of like, wow, I'm so happy to be there. I'm sitting in I'm sitting in church with my wife and my daughter, and
Mm,
I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm so blessed right now. I have a beautiful daughter, beautiful wife. I'm here with all these other people, and dude, it just makes you want to do better. And like,
that's a great thing.
that's on fire, dude.
It's a beautiful thing to hear, man. And I think the community is just such, I cannot harp on this enough. The community is really what just keeps the church together. Christ shines through everyone so much in the church, especially my church, that because I've been to a few churches and it just feels right at home at my church.
Mhm.
Everyone, Christ just shines through everyone, and the church cannot be anything without the people in it. So all of us, the liturgy is the work of the people. We are here working actively in this liturgy because we are working to get to the kingdom of heaven. And there's rough roads for our brothers and sisters along the way, and there has to be a time where we're willing to grab and help our brother or sister carry their cross. And that's just the amazing thing about Orthodoxy, is I felt like I can talk to people about my faith and about my walk. I didn't feel that in Protestantism. It was very wishy-washy, like, man, youth pastor, I had a hecking mean thought the other day. And they'd be like, well, Jesus forgives you. And you just gotta ask the Lord. And I'm not trying to completely just make fun of them, but it was just so like, it felt forced. Everything felt forced. Everything felt very money grabby. Everything felt like it was just stale. But with
Dude, so fake,
Orthodoxy,
dude.
yeah, it's very fake. But with Orthodoxy, it's like, oh, it's like my distant family.
Oh, literally, dude. Yeah, and then like, dude, you're more like, you're compelled to want to help these people too because you have that community aspect. It's like, oh, you've got some work to do on your house. Like, bro, give me a call. Like, I'll help you out or whatever the case is. It's like, it ties back to what you're saying of like, it feels more like what that maybe medieval church would have looked like people that are truly there to help you and truly emulating Christ. And it is such a beautiful thing, dude. And I mean, what you were saying with like the Protestant sector of things, it's just like, it's so fake. We were at one of the young adult events at my buddy's house, and um, you know, it's real. People are just real. You can have real conversations. We're making jokes. You've got one dude over here drinking beer. You know what I mean? It's not like he's pounding beers, getting drunk or anything, but it's not like fake and gay. It's just real. People are being real. You're talking. That doesn't mean like it's degeneracy, but it's not like this fake Protestantism view of Christianity, like, oh, I'm going to go to the group, I'm going to sit on the floor and play my guitar with my beanie on and like just be super fake and then go like to the club after and you know what I mean? It's just like
Yeah,
real.
it's always like these guys who post Bible verses in their stories. So the next day they'll go out partying, and then it's these girls who have like John 3:16 in their bio, who are it's like throwing a hot dog down a sinkhole, and I think the Orthodoxy people like really hold each other accountable too,
Oh
like
yeah.
because we're so close, like you have to hold each other accountable, and like you talk about community. That's been a thing in my church too. Like one guy, he set up like a movie night where we watched Kingdom of Heaven at his house, and we got like a bunch of wings from Wingstop, and we just pigged the frick out. Oh my goodness, it was fun. And then he did it another time for Cinco de Mayo. Sadly, I was sick, but I mean, just good things like this. Last Sunday, I had a little get together at my house where we all hung out. We got some good food, and it was just a good time. But again, like every time I had these get-togethers, and I think you can agree with me on this, how many did we have of these that it felt so real and just good in the Protestant church? We didn't.
Yeah, it was. I don't really remember any. And I think there's like, obviously like I'll meme about Protestantism, but there's still a lot of great people in the Protestant churches who I believe are truly living that out and are like
Sure.
actually very on fire. And I think for them, it's like I look at my the church I grew up in, and like I look at the pastor's kids, right? These are amazing people. They're on fire for Christ. Like amazing people. And obviously I don't know where they're at now, or like in the sense of if they're like still non-denominational or what, but like, you know, they're kind of outliers, right? In that sense, there's not a lot of people that are truly like that. And I think it's hard because then, as you go to these events or whatever, and you're already just kind of like, whatever, you're putting on a front. And as you had kind of talked about with like the accountability stuff, like it's not real. No one's holding you accountable. you're not going to go out and do better. You're going to put on your front, and then you're going to say the right things, and then you're going to go home and, for me, smoke the joint and hit the vape and, jack off and be a total degenerate. Whereas in the Orthodox space, it's like, look, man, you're maybe, I've noticed you're smoking weed a lot lately. Is there something going on here? I think you need to stop doing that. Or, man, I think a couple drinks has turned into something more. You got to lock in, dude. Or it's things like that, of people not being scared to say, look, because I love you, I'm going to say something. Whereas I think when more in those sectors, it can be hard, of like, you're walking on eggshells. You don't want to offend people. And it's like, sometimes you gotta maybe offend someone, because guess what? You got to look out for their soul.
Yes, no, 1,000,000%. I cannot tell you how many times someone has come to me or I've come to them like, hey, that's how it is. And we get into a little bit of an argument. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, guess what? We're good. Like, we're friends still. We're on
Right.
great terms. But the Protestant church, it's like people love putting on a face of a holy roller. Like, they love being like this, especially the young people. That's what obsessed me so bad about, like, when I was in the church. It's like people would be like, hey, take a picture with my hands in the air. Let me cry real quick, throw my and it's like they would post that on Instagram. It's just so fake. And I guess the thing was, it's one thing viewing it from a social media side, but when you view it IRL and then see it get posted on social media, you're just like, oh my goodness, you fake clown.
Yeah.
And it made me really hate Protestantism for a very, very long time. I don't hate Protestantism anymore. I just really disagree with it. And I hope the
Right.
people can. I think the people are seeing the truth. I mean, we had 600,000 Orthodox Christians, what, 4 years ago? And now we're at 7 million. So we're really growing in the United States, and it's going to continue.
Right. For sure, dude. And I totally agree with that. I think actions like that, it turns a lot of people off, myself included, because instead of looking at Christ, we look at the people who are not actually emulating what they're supposed to. And I'm not trying to be holier than thou, because obviously, dude, I fall short all the time. But when you look at things like that, it doesn't make people want to be better Christians. It in fact turns them off. You can say the same thing with like church hurt. I know my best friend Max, his dad, he was I think maybe an upcoming pastor in the Baptist church. And I can't remember. I don't know their full story, nor do I want to air it out, because it wasn't anything crazy.
Sure.
But they basically like shunned him for something, like, not, it wasn't anything crazy. This dude's like a great guy. But to my understanding, that was what made him completely fall out of the church and go away. And it's like, y- when you have so many sectors of this just kind of not doing it correctly, it turns a lot of people off. And that's not good, right? Like, there was something I saw too, where it was a priest talking about, there was a lady who came in and she didn't have shoes on, or I can't remember the situation. And someone gave her flack for it, and then she left, right? And the priest said something, and that I totally butchered the situation, but something in that realm, right? And the priest basically says something about like, I'm praying very hard for that woman, and I'm praying hard for the person who said whatever they said, because you may have just turned that woman away from Christ forever. And that's like not good. And so obviously, when you're throwing your hands up in the air, posting the Bible verses, then like posting half naked pictures of yourself, like, in on the Miami freaking yacht penthouse. I don't even know, like that style of life. It's just like, you're probably doing a lot more bad than good here.
No, I agree. And I think we expect so much mercy from God. We expect all of God's mercy, but we provide zero to everyone else. When someone walks in the church with wearing no shoes, we go, why aren't you wearing shoes? What if they're homeless? What if
Right.
their house got burned down? What if they're living out their car and she's a mother with 2 kids? We don't know these people's situations. Why don't you go? Why don't you greet them? Why don't you be nice to them?
Mhm.
Hey, how are you? Is everything going okay with you? Be nice, figure out her situation, and then you could help her. And then guess what? Great is your reward in heaven. You have no
Exactly.
reason to judge this woman, because guess what? You could be in that spot too one day. And do you want people to shun you from the church? Exactly.
Right.
It just never. It just boggles my mind how people will destroy others when they are in a bad spot. But when they're in a bad spot, they expect all the help in the world. They expect God to come down with Elijah on the fire chariot and be like, all right, $1,000,000. There you go. Here's your help. It's like, why? But you're not providing that to anyone else. Why are all your neighbors hungry? Why are these people have no clothes? Why do these kids look unhappy? Suffer not the little children. I was hungry, you never fed me. I was sick, you never visited me. All this stuff is not checked. It's not even being worked towards. But you expect mercy.
Right? No, 100%. Well, and the other thing too is like dude, there's so many times when I wanted to post like I can't even remember the verse, but from Timothy where, they're talking about, yeah, ladies, you need to dress modestly, things like that, and like kind of call some of these people out of like, what are you doing? But then it's also the same thing of like, okay, these people are not truly like bad at heart. They are just being led astray. And that's kind of the thing too, with going back to how you had said, like, we expect the mercy, but then oftentimes we don't actually want to give it to other people. And that's one thing I've come to have to realize very hard is like, okay, like there's a right and a wrong way of executing this and truly getting people to switch sides, for lack of better terms. And it's kind of leading by example there, because if you go out and you're just like a total a-hole to people, then it's probably not going to work. And I think that's a big problem with the online Orthodox and Catholic space, because you have a lot of these, what I would say, these gooners, right, who are now just like giving Orthodoxy or Catholicism a very bad name, right? Obviously, I'm not Catholic. There are a lot of issues with Catholicism, but my thing is like, I look at both sides. You have people on both ends that are just making like this rage bait content. They're turning people off from Christ. They're like these online ortho bros who are like kind of doing the inverse of orthodoxy, well, like pushing orthodoxy. And it's another thing of like, dude, like you're not bringing anyone to your side. Yeah, you may have some of the other people who agree with you in the comments agreeing or whatever, because we may subconsciously say, yeah, he's right. But when we take a step back, it's like, dude, like you're not really doing this in the greatest way that's actually going to get people to realize like, oh, this isn't, you're doing it wrong. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
pipe down there, bro.
And I think also if the converts to Orthodoxy enjoy this type of content, debating, be like, "Oh, you're a retard." It's like,
Exactly.
"Whoa, dude!" And then because then these people have a false idea of what Orthodoxy is. They come into the church, they
Exactly.
expect everyone to be militant, sitting there staring out into space while liturgy is going on. It's like, no, that's actually the exact opposite. Because guess what? We're humans. I know that's an insane concept, right? But you can't ever you people walk through the church expect to be like boot camp. That's not
Oh
how it
yeah,
is at all. It's
exactly.
not supposed to be boot camp. If someone is going to cry in the middle of liturgy, you're gonna go, "Hey, shh, we're trying to pay attention to what God has to provide for us." "Hey,
Right.
shh, that kid crying, make him shut up." "Hey, woman, put some better clothes on." You're missing the entire point. If you're trying to walk around and be on militant and higher than everyone, you're missing the entire point.
Yeah.
Because and that's like kind of like what we see with the Fools for Christ, like Saint Gabriel of Georgia. We were talking about him. He used to do backflips in the middle of liturgy. If he felt like people weren't really paying attention, he just hit a backflip real quick, and you just go right back to reading. Like that's what we're seeing in the middle of liturgy. But people expect all these like, and we see a lot of these like the edits have portrayed Orthodoxy in this way to where we have to sit there. It's so fake because you're not doing it out of the righteousness of your heart. You're doing it because some retard made an edit online saying this is what Orthodoxy looks like. When that's
Exactly.
not what Orthodoxy looks like. As someone who's been in the church for over 3 years now, I can tell you that is not what Orthodoxy looks like.
No, 100%. And I don't know about like in your church, but I know in mine, that was one of the things I talked to our priest about, was like, hey, I'm really confused. And I've already had, people tell me, hey, be careful of online orthodoxy. And he's like, yeah, be very careful, because like I would be like, I heard this. And he's like, yeah, that's not true. Let me explain it. Then he would explain it. And you're like, oh, crap. I may just be like, depending on how you're absorbing this information, it's like, I may just be falling into someone else's agenda and quite honestly doing the inverse of what real orthodoxy is, and that is not good. That's just as bad as
Yeah.
like being a heretical Christian. It's like one and the same.
And that's why it's so good to see people in the church kind of wake up to this because there's so many people like myself who converted and who are like, obsessed with like Russia. Like I wanted
Oh
Russia
yeah.
to just obliterate Ukraine. I'm like, hey, no, that's freaking retarded. They should not be having a war because Orthodox Christians and they're slaughtering each other. And like again, they're just white men over there just getting slaughtered
Oh
into
yeah.
the Zionist blender. And it kind of goes on. It's like a lot of men who are converted and they're in the church for a while, like myself. They see, this online orthodoxy thing, it sucks actually. It's the exact opposite of what is
Literally.
in the church. So you see men come in while you're already gone through this process, who you look at and go, yeah, that was me. And then you talk to them and kind of break that down a little bit, like, hey, dude, chill out. And again, also another thing is too, I understand why a lot of these converts in the West expect to see militant people in the church and being all like straight and somber and not letting anything bother you and silence and holiness like we're a bunch of monks. But hey, guess what? Those people are from Eastern Europe and they're cold blooded. Americans are just wild. I don't know what to
Okay.
say. And,
Our culture is just way different.
it is our culture, and that's why America needs a patriarch.
Oh
But,
yeah.
I mean, again, Americans are just different. You cannot tell an American, especially from the South, to just sit there and not ever and just be militant. That doesn't exist in the blood and the DNA of people in America. So I think we have a very big false idea, and that's why the priests of America are loved so much. Like I think Father Josiah understands that very well. I think my priest and many others understand how we are very well. Like we're all of our priests in America are working on the same path that we are on as American converts. People who come from churches who are throwing our hands up in the air and praising the Lord, you know what I'm saying? And we go into Orthodoxy and like we hear all these people online saying it's supposed to be militant and somber. I grew up the complete opposite. You know what I'm saying? You can't just throw someone into that and expect them just to change.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I just think that all these churches, all the online orthodoxy, it's gonna eventually shatter when people. I think this is a once in a generation thing, because people in the next, like your daughter, is not gonna be looking at stuff like this and believing it. She's gonna
Right.
be like, oh wait, no, this church is like the exact opposite, because it's
Exactly
not
right.
supposed to be that way. What does it matter if the kid is babbling in the middle of liturgy?
Literally. Dude, and that's one thing I loved. It like I because I remember the first time our first liturgy, or maybe our first two times, I'd instinctively be like, oh my gosh, my daughter's like, ba 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 ba. And you're like, oh my gosh. And then you're like, I think I may have taken her out or something, and someone's like, "Hey, you're good, dude. Like, we love this." Like, and it's like we love like children are that's what they do, man. And it's
Yeah,
like, okay, maybe if your daughter's like throwing a fit, then you're like, okay, for the respect of other people, I'm gonna take her out. But it's like, dude, no, this is they like there's a huge appreciation for children too, which I think is great. Like
yes,
it definitely has made me realize like, wow, like as a father too, it's like, man, like no one like oh man it all flows together. It's very hard to explain, but like
it's
no
perfect.
wonder Christ loved the children so much. It's
Yeah,
like this is why I want to have like 10 freaking kids, because they're
hmm
so amazing, dude. It's they're the purest beings ever, and it's just like, dude, it's so
yeah.
cool.
That's why Christ like suffer not the little children. So you're gonna take
Right.
a child out of liturgy for just being a child. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Oh,
Exactly.
it's sitting there babbling, talking to nothingness. It's not screaming. Who cares?
Exactly.
let it do its thing. That's like I just see that like it's like the old saying like from the Protestant churches. If the church ain't crying, it's dying. And that's very true. If there's no kids going wild, you know what I'm saying, maybe every now and then throwing a fit, then your church is dead. There's nobody in there, there's no young people. That's what I think too. A lot of these Protestant churches are just turning into Canes and Walkers. And there's no life in them. It needs to be young people have got to step it up and just either if you're gonna be traditional Protestant, take control of your church. If you're gonna be Orthodox, young people, take control. Make sure our churches live on past our generation.
Right.
It's so easy to dedicate ourselves. I guess some people. It's so easy to dedicate ourselves to the idea of living Orthodox, but we don't even. No one can. If someone can sit here and say, "I know what living Orthodox is," they are a liar. They don't know what they're talking about. No one can exactly pinpoint what living Orthodox is. Because if you can say, I know what living Orthodox is, because I do it, you're pretty much saying, I'm the most humble person in the room.
Right.
Shut up, retard. You don't know nothing. Shut your mouth. And that's kind of like, we need a generation of humble people who are going to try their best to live with Christ. We're going to take care of their neighbor. And we will see this country be brought back from the ashes. St. Paisios prophesied, America will be holy one day. That starts with us, Dakota. That
Oh
starts
yeah.
with us. I mean, we've done all the questions here. Do you have anything else to add before we wrap it up?
No, I mean, dude, I guess I just like to hit on that, dude. Like it is up to us. And I think too many people think of like, oh, we gotta go pick up arms. We gotta start killing politicians. We gotta do XYZ. And like, don't get me wrong, in the sense of a revolution, like I think how do I put it? Like, I'm trying to emulate my thoughts here in the sense of, yeah, we are far past a tyrannical government of where we are well within our rights to bear arms and do something about it. But at the end of the day, based on how the control is set up, it starts with us. We have to truly live that out. We have to do the things like caring for your neighbor, right? Giving the dude on the street who's like got ripped up clothes, give him a shirt, give him a sandwich, talk to him. It starts with all of these things that we actually have to live out our faith, and it's going to spread, dude. And it's like, instead of watching pornography and like going clubbing and like living that lifestyle and posting that on your stories and having that spread, it's like, okay, why don't we live a pure life? And we're all going to fall short. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to sit here and say like you're never, like, we're humans, right? We're humans. But at the end of the day, if you can lead by example and start doing some of these things that are actually good, then like it will spread, and will be able to bring things back. I'm very bullish on the United States in like 30 years from now. I truly believe that our generation as Gen Z have had we've had it with this crap, and things will change. So I'm very excited, but it's going to take a lot of work. We can't just talk. We got to actually go and execute like you had stated.
Of course, and we're going to be doing that. Get active in your churches, have events, feed the hungry, take care of the sick, and we will make things good. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, understanding He will make your path straight. And that's what we got to do, Dakota. Dakota, where can the people find you?
I'm on Instagram. I'm going to be ramping up the YouTube, but if you want to find me on Instagram, it is Dakota, Dakota __ Crane, Crane, because someone had Dakota _Crane. But yeah, if you're interested in user generated content or just, I don't know, anything, you know where to find me.
All that will be in the description below. Please go check out Dakota. He makes great stuff. Go to liturgy. It's important. And please like and subscribe if you want more of this. Thank you.